family? Hey, peace, peace, peace. What's up, family? This is N.O.W with another video. Family, I hope you guys are having a great day thus far, and I hope we have a plethora of people, you know what I'm saying, tuning in right now. You know what I'm saying? But family, I got some great information for you today. I have a great drop for you today, and really, this is about, you know, paying attention to our surroundings. All right. Do you really know who you are as a melanated being? Do you know the powers that you possess? All right. Do you know the relevance of oxygen? I know we always hear, okay, well, trees give off oxygen and we give off carbon dioxide, and whatever we give off is a waste called carbon dioxide, and whatever trees give off is oxygen is a waste. But is it really a waste? Think about it. All right, so I'm going to go through my notes, so my head is going to be down for the most part, okay? But however, I want you to do your own research on this, all right? Always do your own research. Never take what anybody say for face value, okay? Yes, we come, we teach, we do the lectures, but always do your own research. Always do your own research, okay? So let's talk about oxygen on a whole, all right? Now, our atmosphere contains of about 70% nitrogen and 21% of oxygen and 1% of argon and small amounts of various gases. All right. So which begs me to ask that question. If we need oxygen to stay alive, all right, and because of oxygen we could breathe and we stay alive, how is that only 21% of the atmosphere is oxygen and over about 78% is nitrogen? So again, why don't we have more oxygen? Which brings the question, is there something being done to our atmospheric pressure or our atmosphere that's taking away the amount of oxygen or the level of oxygen that we have in the atmosphere? All right, so that's sort of like the premise of this lecture or this presentation, whatever you want to call it. All right, now, our brain cells start to die after 2 minutes without oxygen. Our brain cells start to die after 2 minutes without oxygen. Have you ever asked yourself, why is there only 21% of oxygen in the air if that's what we need to breathe? Like I said, to stay alive. If we removed too much oxygen, we would die. But what if we added more? Okay, so here's the flip side. If we take out a lot of oxygen that's within the atmosphere, we would die. But what if we added more? Have you ever thought about that? What if there was more? Right now, we only have about 21%. What if we had 30%? What if we had 40%? What are the possibilities? What is the significance of oxygen? The breath of life, that's what it is. The prana. What if we had more of that? Hold on to that thought for a second. Let's go back to Genesis for a second, because a lot of times I like to go back to the Bible. Again, not that I think, everything in the Bible is real, but there are allegories. And the allegories, they actually stand for something. They were meant to relay certain information, or they were meant, okay, to convey certain things, all right, or certain ideologies or principles. It doesn't mean that it was fake or real, but it could represent something else. So again, you let it be what you want for you. I have a different understanding of what it means. So let's go back to Genesis. All right, life on earth was created perfect, and we all were designed to live forever. As you could see in the biblical times, we had people living for over 500, 600, 700, almost 1,000 years. All right, and that is a fact. And the reason why I say it's a fact is because there are certain people in certain parts of the world that's way over 130, 150 something, but they just don't tell you. You see, whoever controls your media controls the limit of information that you are privy to. So they're not going to tell you, well, guess what? We found 2 ladies in XX Zimbabwe or whatever that's about 150 years old, because now you're going to find out what the secrets are. And you're going to wonder why, whoa, wow, they must be doing something to us. So know that there are people who are damn near close to 140, 150 years old that's living right now. Okay, so let's go back to that Genesis thing. All right, it states in Genesis that after the fall of man, all elements in which were made were cursed. Genesis records the degeneration of the whole of creation until the flood of Noah. All right, as you could see in the beginning, everything seemed to be perfect with the first man. Like I told you in the first chapter of Genesis, when you had that prototype of that man and woman before they were called Adam. All right, life was perfect. People lived forever because that was the first man, the first moral and first spiritual, spiritual man. It was perfect. He was perfect. She was perfect. And then we started to degenerate. Okay, and the more we degenerated, we got into a state of Adam or Eve, okay? The spiritually pure being, but morally imperfect. So we started to degenerate, okay? And then until we went all the way to Noah, again, whether you believe Noah and the flood was real or not, that's on you. I'm not here to convince you whether it was real or not. I also know that the flood was also internal. So whatever is manifest within could also manifest or is always manifest without. All right. Now, does it really mean that the flood destroyed the entire earth? I highly doubt that. But again, that's just my own belief. But there was a flood and there have been many floods. Okay. So again, until the flood, there was a level of degeneration, meaning that we lost a lot of our abilities that we had. For instance, we were able to communicate telepathically. We lost that ability. All right, so that alone in itself show you a phase from where we started off. Whether you want to put it as we started off as gods, if that's the term you want to use, but the perfect being, because the Creator didn't make any mistakes when the Creator created us. For some reason, we did something and we messed it up. So we started to, again, devolve or degenerate. All right, but the Creator created perfect beings. Everything was good. Now, if you go again, I could prove it to you again. If you go in Genesis, everything that the Creator made in the first chapter in Genesis was all good. However, in the second chapter, the Creator didn't mention it was all good. So that shows you that we were devolving. We did something where we messed up and we were cut off. Our spiritual umbilical cord was cut off, which caused us to be cursed. And I'm not talking about the curse they're talking about because of your skin and all that. I don't get involved in all that BS. But spiritually, we did something where we got cut off from the Most High, and we have been devolving or degenerating ever since. So now it's to find our way back to the Most High. And that's one of my main reasons for doing these videos, in doing what I do. So my mission and my goal is to get us back to the Most High. All right. And that's where I'm at with it. All right. So let's proceed with the notes. All right. A test was done to support this, where more oxygen was added in a hyperbaric biosphere. It was a test. A biosphere is a machine, one of the machines that, some people created, where it's just filled with oxygen. All right. So it induces healing and all those different things. So you could also do some research on that. But it was concluded that, like before the flood, was just like the flood, meaning that the experiment that they did within that biosphere, it gave people longer life. Okay, people healed automatically or overnight, and that is the state of being we were in when people were living longer. And that machine, the biospheric machine, okay, was a simulation, okay, to pretty much have an understanding of what life was before Noah, before the flood. And that's pretty much what it is. All right. Now, they did that example with some fruit flies. And this is what happened. The lifespan of the fruit flies expanded to 3 generations. I'm going to repeat that. The lifestyle of the fruit flies extended to 3 generations in that biospheric machine filled with oxygen. All right. Let me make sure I didn't lose myself here. All right. the molecular change of venom in copperhead snakes changed from a toxic state to a non-toxic state. Man, people always hit me up when I'm doing this. All right, so I'm going to repeat that. The snakes, the copperhead snakes who were toxic within that machine, the biospheric machine, after a period of time, they become non-toxic. So in other words, all the poisonous snakes that we have here today, they also degenerated with us. They also devolved with us, because when we fell, everything fell. So they become toxic, they become poisonous. All right. So that to me just makes a lot of sense. Accelerated growth in piranha fish from 2 inches to about 16 inches over a period of 2.5 years. I'm going to repeat that. An accelerated growth of piranha fish from 2 inches to 16 inches within a period of 2.5 years period. So just imagine, so hence the explanation of the giants who walked the earth. Now, if only it took 2.5 years for piranha fish to grow from 2 inches to 16 inches in length, just imagine humans who lived for hundreds of years. We were the giants. We are the giants, and we fell. So family, we have to get back to that state of being. And that's why I do what I do, because I love us, and I'm doing all the extra research to educate us, because I want us to get back to being the pure organic beings that we were meant to be. All right. A study from the Illinois State University shows that oxygen could have been at least 30% instead of the 21% that we have currently. Okay. Oxygen within that, you know, hemisphere or area or whatever you want to call it, in the days before the flood, the oxygen was over 30% in atmospheric pressure. Now we only have about 21%. So family, can you imagine if we had over 30% of oxygen available to us right now? So it kind of make me think, are they actually doing something? Is the chemtrails just to block the sun, or is it doing more? You have to ask yourself those questions. All right. So they had over 30% of oxygen before the Noah's flood compared to now. All right. An open wound, a wound, all right, could heal overnight. An open wound, like if you get a cut, it could heal overnight within these conditions. So with more oxygen, wounds could heal overnight. X-Men, does that ring a bell? X-Men. You see when, you know, what's his name? You know, the dude with the blades. You know, I forgot his name, but anyway, Wolverine. When they cut him or they shoot him, his body just heals automatically. It's because the oxygen in the atmospheric pressure was over 30%. So they are basically telling us our story and the capabilities that we have, that we could heal overnight. Remember, if you cut yourself now, what is it going to take? A month, 2 months, a few weeks before it heals? What if we were in the right conditions that we were before? Family, as soon as somebody cuts you, guess what? That thing would just close up. Shh. X-Men, we are the X-Men. And that's why I love doing what I do, all right? This would support the fact of human life lasting several hundred years. An experiment was done by NASA. 3 scientists lived on the floor of the ocean for about 1 to 3 months in a Biosphere machine. Okay? An experiment was done. 3 scientists lived on the water in the ocean bed, all right, from 1 to 3 months. When they left, they were all middle-aged with gray hairs and they had wrinkles. When they returned, they had no gray hair and they had no wrinkles. It disappeared, and their sex drive was crazy. It was off the chain. So this was the experiment. They took 3 scientists, put them in the ocean bed, all right, in one of the biospheric machines, because the level of oxygen, it was about a little over 30%. All right. When they left, they had gray hairs, they had wrinkles, and they only stayed there for 1 to 3 months. When they came back, they had no gray hairs, less wrinkles, and their sex drive was crazy. No, I know my sister's talking about them. I need to get one of those machines, because brothers nowadays, they seem to be going for like 2 minutes and shit. Yes, sisters, invest in that. All right. You will enjoy it a little more sexually. But anyway, this is not about sex. All right. Now, it turned out that certain glands and organs were reactivated. Family, you hear that? With more oxygen. Their glands, okay, and certain organs were reactivated. Are they talking about our DNA? Family, we have to reactivate. We have to go back to the state of being and the conditions that will allow us to be who we were meant to be. I'm telling you, this is amazing. It's really mind-boggling. All right? Now, we need to go back and return to the forest, family. We live in times when we had 10% more or even more oxygen in our atmosphere. All that changed when we fell. The more we were cut down or fell or they got divided from the Creator, the less oxygen we had. Now, was it done by man? Was it done by the Creator? I don't know. It still doesn't change the fact when we lost our oxygen, or when we fell, we lost our oxygen, or when we lost our oxygen, we fell. Either way, we fell. And because we depreciated, we degenerated. Everything in our environment also degenerated, including the animals and everything around us. All right? So keep that in mind. The people who created the Biosphere Chamber states, also you could check out their YouTube as well. Their YouTube is Creation Evidence Museum. So you could check that. I'll also put that in the link below. So check them out and subscribe, because I appreciate the draft that they gave. If you increase the atmospheric oxygen to simulate what we had before Noah's flood, the entire blood plasma of a whole organism, meaning that the whole body, is saturated with oxygen. All right, I'm going to repeat that because this is very important for you to take note of that. If we increase the atmospheric oxygen to simulate what we had before Noah's flood, the entire blood plasma of the whole organism, meaning the whole body, is saturated with oxygen. So before the flood, the entire body, or the plasma, the blood plasma, was filled or saturated with oxygen. And that's why they were able to heal overnight. That's why they grew like giants. That's why they were able to fly. Who built the pyramids? Open up your mind, family. Open up your mind. Study self. The more you know thyself, to know the Creator is to know thyself. All right? And that's one of my mission, to help you to have a better understanding of yourself. All right? Now, it didn't say blood per se. All right? But it said the blood plasma. What is plasma? Plasma is the clear straw-colored liquid portion of the blood that, let me just go through my notes, that remains after red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and other cellular components are removed. It is the single largest component of the human blood, comprising about 55%, and contains water, salt, enzymes, antibodies, and other proteins. So think again, family, think X-Men. All right? Think X-Men. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Do you know your potential? Do you know your capabilities? Do you know your godlike abilities? They said Jesus walked on water. Trust me, if we go back to our natural state of being, we will run on water. Because even in your Bible, Jesus said, you could do greater things than I did. And I could prove it to you in the Bible. You better know who you are. You better recognize who you are. You better wake your asses up, because that's my goal. That's my mission, to wake you up. All right. Now, the scientists under the water for a couple of months, they actually lost their grays, like I said, and they lost their wrinkles. It solves and the blood plasma, all right? It solves major problems. For example, genetically during gestation, 9 months of gestation, we generally produce 200 billion brain cells. I'm going to repeat that. Generally, okay, or genetically rather, not generally, genetically we produce over 2 billion brain cells. Family, over 2 billion, not million, We produce over 200 billion brain cells genetically. All right? But we ended up with only 100 billion. So that means we had 200 billion brain cells, active brain cells in us before the flood. So when we degraded or we devolved, we ended up having only 1 billion. With 1 billion brain cells, we are doing okay. All right? We make inventions. All right? We are going to space and back, and we are very smart, some people would say, right? That research, and again, keep in mind, that research was done by Caucasian scientists. In that case, melanin wasn't playing a part. And again, I'm not here to belittle our Caucasian brothers and sisters, but our molecule structure or our molecule makeup is different because we have more melanin. So just imagine when melanin comes into play and we have our 200 billion brain cells active. Can somebody say Superman? Can somebody say X-Men? Can somebody say Fantastic Four? Do you know who you are? I want you to ask yourself that question. All right? Melanin. Do the research on melanin. Over 95% of the universe, 96% of the universe is made up of what you made up on. That's all I'm going to say. All right? So family, again, know who you are. That is why melanin, the cost of melanin is so high amongst non-melanated beings. I did a video on, do you know how much your melanin costs? Go check it out and see how much it is per gram of melanin. And you would realize that people are actually killing people. People are actually selling what you were born with. But yet still, you're afraid and ashamed to be who you are. Going around bleaching yourself, trying to be Europeanized. Man, I should slap some of y'all in your damn faces. Disrespectful son of a bitches. And I don't mean to, go there with that. But again, I allowed my emotions to get the best of me there. But it just goes to show you should be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are. All right, family? So we had over 200 billion and lost 1 million. All right? So again, just imagine if we were operating on that 200 million. Family, guess what? Can somebody say Superman? We would be able to fly. And I'm talking about real talk. Again, let me ask you a question. How did they build the pyramids? Brother Lex is dropping some shit today, huh? Let me continue. It was discovered a brain cell dies in 6 to 10 minutes of oxygen deprivation. So in today's atmosphere, the blood plasma is not saturated with oxygen. I'm going to repeat that. A study was done, and it was discovered that the brain cells die within 6 to 10 minutes of lack or the deprivation of oxygen. So in today's atmosphere, the blood plasma is not saturated with oxygen. So family, I'm asking you, seeing that we have depreciated, we have devolved, I'm asking you, my melanated brothers and sisters, that means we don't have enough oxygen going to our brain. So we have forgotten who we are. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to mama. I'm going to take you back to nature. You better believe that. A hemoglobin picks up 4 oxygen molecules. That's all it could pick up. If you want to know what hemoglobins are, go do the research. You could Google it. But a hemoglobin picks up only 4 oxygen molecules. That's all it can take. But the blood plasma is not saturated with enough oxygen. So here is a new mother. I'm talking about to the pregnant mothers. When you're having our melanated babies, keep that in mind. Okay? A pregnant mother or a new mother, okay, has her child, laboring and fighting to get enough oxygen for herself, transferring as much oxygen that is needed for the child. Now, if the mother is fighting for oxygen herself, how much oxygen do you think that child is getting? Think about it, because it doesn't even have enough just for her. So just imagine that the deprivation of oxygen for that newborn child. So that means during the 3rd trimester, just before the child is born, there is a tremendous proliferation of brain cells, millions of new brain cells every day, millions, but almost all of them die. So by the time your baby is born, half of their brain cells is dead. It's damaged. It's gone because of the lack of oxygen. Can I get an amen? Did you even know that? So when your children are born, your children are being born half the man or woman they were supposed to be born to be. So if you were supposed to have a Superman or an X-Man, guess what? You didn't have that because of the lack of oxygen that baby had. This is amazing. The rest of the body is taking it all. The brain uses over 20% of oxygen. We almost done. We almost here. That we taking 50 cells are already, 50% of the brain is, 20% of the oxygen is already used by the brain. So therefore, the new brain cells that are being developed, okay, there's not enough oxygen for them to be used. So like I said, we lose about 100 billion of our brain cells. But just imagine if we had 200 billion of those brain cells, what would happen? Again, like I told you, we would be able to fly, and the amazing things that we would be able to do, it would be amazing. Because every day, brain cells have about 10 to 50,000 neurons connected to other brain cells. So the difference between 100 billion brain cells and 200 brain cells is light years. Remember in the Bible, it said that one day down here is equivalent to 1,000 years up there. This is what it means. What does up there means? Family, you have to look at the allegory of things. Just up there means heaven, or just up there means oxygen, a higher plane of existence. With more oxygen in the atmosphere, about 30%. You feel me? It would be light years if we are operating on our 200 billion brain cells. Like I said before, if you cut me, it would heal right away. So you have to think about it. In that level of existence, there is no such thing as time. Time doesn't exist. And you have to be aware of that. All right? So again, for a lack of oxygen, people are dummified, people get stupid, people are disenfranchised, people are unaware of who they are. Can I ask us what happened to us melanated people? Because that seemed to be our situation today. We don't know who we are. Okay, for some reason, we have been more dummified, we have been more stupefied, if that's a word. And no disrespect to everybody, I'm including myself in that. That's why I am doing research, I'm studying self, so I get away from that, that level of stupidity, all right? And because it's of the lack of oxygen, all right, family? This is why these people cut down our trees, and they continue to cut down our trees. You see, they put us in what's called projects, in these brick houses and these brick buildings, because all these inner cities, they lack oxygen. And you see what's happening to our people, need I say more? All right, let's proceed. In school, they teach us that plants breathe out carbon dioxide and give out oxygen as a waste. That animals, humans, they breathe in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide as a waste. That is true. However, they didn't teach us that plants need oxygen to survive. They never taught me that in school. They just told me that plants give out oxygen, we take in the oxygen, we give out carbon dioxide, they take in the carbon dioxide, but they didn't tell us plants need oxygen as well. If you place a plant in an atmosphere with no oxygen, it will die. All right? Plants take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide the same way we do. The difference is, during the day, plants also perform photosynthesis, which turns carbon dioxide into oxygen. On average, one tree produces 60 pounds of oxygen. Let me repeat that. Okay. On average, one full-grown tree produces 60 pounds of oxygen each year. 2 major trees can provide enough oxygen for a family of 4. Basically, what I'm saying is this, family: plant more trees instead of taking all these supplements. Plant more trees. Plant more trees. This is the end of the presentation. All right, in terms of what I was talking about, the lecture. However, I just want to give thanks to the people that did the research on the Biosphere machines. Check them out on YouTube. Also, I want to check out, I want to give thanks to Geoshiter, and definitely want to give thanks to 432 The Drop Radio. Check him out on YouTube. He has a lot of drop, a lot of knowledge. But I just wanted to summarize everything of one of the videos that I seen. You know, I just wanted to summarize things, and I just wanted to sort of like paraphrase. But family, the key is this. These people have taken us away from our natural habitat, where we have the trees. What is the coloration? What is the synergic or synergy between us and trees? Trees are us, and we are them. You have to know that. And they cut down all our trees, and they're still cutting it down. You know why? Because they don't want us to elevate to our true potential being. And that's one of the reasons why I'm telling y'all that exodus away from Babylon is the only way to get back into your, again, I'm going to use that word, godly state of mind. We have to get away from Babylon. And Babylon is the inner cities. The inner cities. We have to get away from these brick, you know, these brick walls and these brick environments that they created. The lack of oxygen. Just imagine if we go back to an environment where there is 30% oxygen. Family, we will fly. We would be able to look at their machines and their tanks and just basically break them down or demolish them with our thoughts, because we are in our highest state of existence. Can you imagine that? Family, this is real. This is real. The trees are our ancestors, and we are them, and they are us. We are one of the same. And they took us away from that. They took us away from that. So we have to go back into nature. We have to go back to mama. We have to go back. Look at the movie Avatar. Family, they are telling us about ourselves. This is amazing. They are telling us about ourselves. And we have to go back to nature. We have to go back into the trees. We have to go back into the wilderness. Because remember, I told you, the general said, we have to be aware of the tribes. The tribes were in nature. They were in nature, family. The trees will come alive. We will come alive. We will get back our supernatural powers. But we have to go back to mama. We have to go back into the wilderness in order for us to get that full amount of energy. I mean, not energy, but of oxygen that we need. Right now, we only have about 20%. Just imagine if we have 30%. So family, I'm about to end this video right now. I just hope this video is going to help a lot of people. All right. Do your own research again. All right. Do your own research, because this is some real deep stuff. You feel me? It's real and it's deep. Let me see if I could go to my homepage real quick, because I know we are still live, but I'm going to see if I could go to my homepage. I know there may be a few people that's probably on right now. So let me see if I could give a few shout outs. Because like I said, I'm still new to all this. So damn, I can't even see who's on right now. But I guess one of these days I'll figure this thing out, man, because you know, I'm still new to this. All right. But anyway, I wanted to give a few people shout outs, but family, I can't really see it. So I want to thank everybody who's on right now. You know, whoever you are, I really want to thank you for you know, getting into the call, and I appreciate you, and just want to give thanks. I'm about to end this call right now, and family, I just want to say peace and love, man. I love y'all, and I'll continue to do what I do. And hey, just stay tuned, and just want to give thanks. I'm about to end this call right now. All right, peace and love. I love you guys. Again, I don't know if I know Darius is on. I know Robert J is on. I know Jada Jackson is on. We got a few people. I'm giving some shout outs. All right. So I guess that's it. Love you guys. Peace. I'm out. All right. One. I think I'm done. All right. Let me go back here. Go back here. Yeah, I'm still live. What is this all about? Live chat room. Okay. Okay. All right, family. Peace.